Yeah. Tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. Good ladies and gents, welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we are talking all things boxing. Remember to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and of course the notification bell to get notified whenever we drop some new content. And of course, leave your comments below, leave your thoughts below about what we discuss here on MKO Boxing. And yeah, so right now just going to speak to you about Saul Canelo Alvarez, and he is now officially a free agent. And over the past few years, there's been quite a bit of controversy with him in terms of the legal situation and Golden Boy. There's been times where he's, been said to be unhappy with Oscar De La Hoya and that situation. They've gone sort of back and forth and that. And, even with the Zone lately, there's been a lot of problems. And I think there was even a lawsuit where he took the Zone and Golden Boy to court earlier on in the year, and was trying to, I think, sue them for loss of earnings because he was promised a certain amount of money. And my understanding is that he was promised in excess of $300 million. I think the number was somewhere about $365 million or something ridiculous like that. So the Zone, like, they made him this guaranteed money. Like they said, come over here and don't worry about the pay-per-view thing. We'll pay you this upfront figure, well, not upfront, fight by fight, but basically it works out $300 odd million, and we'll pay you that figure fight by fight. That's a guarantee for you. And basically you just have to have 10 fights for us. So it was a huge deal, a very, very lucrative deal. I mean, I don't know anyone else really in boxing, sort of outside of the big boys and the heavyweights, and even with them it's questionable. And he was apparently getting about $30 odd million per fight. I think the Zone ultimately weren't that happy with the figures that were generated. It wasn't sort of what they expected, because I think even the Kovalev fight, it was a big thing, him stepping up to light heavyweight to compete, and him getting a KO victory over Sergey Kovalev. Although it wasn't the Kovalev of old, but it was still a big thing. Kovalev's still bigger and stronger than anyone Canelo had fought before, so he jumped up for that. It was a good achievement on his behalf, but I think numbers wise, I don't think he was bringing in the subscribers and bringing in the new signups that the Zone wanted. So they had a problem. And I think he was complaining also that they were trying to pick his opponents, and they weren't happy with the Turkish opponent who lost to Chris Eubank Jr. He was trying to bring him in, and don't get me wrong, Yildirim his name is, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I see what they're saying there, because Yildirim, he's a decent fighter, but he's never gonna do anything with Canelo. I mean, realistically, as it's kind of hard to, he's all right, but it's kind of hard to respect that, that sort of opponent when you're dealing with someone like Canelo, who is pound for pound one of the best fighters in boxing today. You want to see him in there with at least, a Benavidez or someone like that. And I know there's politics involved with that, and I know that, yeah, there's promotional barriers and all that sort of thing, but you want to see him in there with sort of a respectable opponent, so they weren't happy with certain of his opponent choices and all that. So obviously they're in a dilemma, because ultimately for the Zone, the problem they had was there weren't the names there for Canelo to fight, to sort of generate the signups, because as big as Canelo is, as talented as he is, as big of a star as he is, he you still need the dance partners, you still need the opponents to sort of generate more money and garner more interest. You know, because yes, he can sell by himself, but ultimately, if you want people keep signing up to your platform, you know, it needs to be big names in that. And, you know, they were even, from what I understand, back in September, the Zone were actually proposing two opponents from the UFC. They were proposing Jorge Masvidal and Khabib, who, you know, everyone knows is recently retired from the MMA world, retired from the UFC, 29-0 undefeated. And, you know, so the Zone were saying that, yeah, well, you know, why don't you fight Masvidal or fight Khabib from the UFC, you know, both in a boxing match. And, you know, that shows you that, you know, ultimately, you know, those fights are, for me, they're ridiculous, really, because it's those guys, they're not boxers. So, you know, why would we want to watch non-boxers compete in a boxing match and, you know, get battered by a guy who boxing is all he does? You know, they wouldn't survive in a ring with Canelo, just like Canelo wouldn't last very long in a cage with them, you know, unless they just opted to stand up and just box with Canelo. But yeah, ultimately, you know, they offered those two guys as opponents because obviously they'd bring in the UFC fans and the UFC crowd, like the sort of clown show we had with you know, Mayweather and McGregor, which you know, I watched it, so, you know, they got me interested in it. But, you know, that's more of a show. That's not a serious fight that people who know about their respective sports are going to take seriously. That's one that casual fans who you know, maybe don't know about the sport, maybe they'll be interested in it. But ultimately, you know, that's not the type of fight that is a serious fight. That's not a serious competition. So lately they've just been Canelo had been back and forth to court with Golden Boy and the Zone. You know, they suggested, and Golden Boy, you know, they couldn't come to an agreement. So as far as I understand it, the latest thing that's happened is, you know, they've gone to court, they've put their heads together, and they've basically agreed to disagree. So now Canelo has been released from the Zone contract, been released from his Golden Boy contract, and he's now a free agent. And I think maybe in some ways this is the best thing for him money-wise, because now what he can do is, you know, the same sort of thing that Floyd Mayweather done, where basically they just go to the highest bidder. So if you know, Matchroom or Eddie Hearn, if they bid the highest to have him, to pay him to fight, he goes there. If it's Showtime, he goes there. You know, he's now an independent guy, and, you know, he now becomes his own man. So, you know, ultimately, I hope it will be sort of the best move for Canelo now. And going forward, he'll just be a free agent, sort of gun for hire, and he'll go to the highest bidder. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. All the best to Canelo going forward, the Zone and Golden Boy and all of them. And yeah, let us know your thoughts below about Canelo now being a free agent. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Till next time, it is MKO Pugilism over and out. I'll catch you next time.